Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Tina Jha. Boris Johnson is set to take charge as Britain's new Prime Minister after his landslide victory in the Conservative Party leadership contest on Tuesday. The 55-year-old former Foreign Secretary and London Mayor will lay out his vision as Prime Minister in his first speech on the steps of Downing Street after an audience with Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace, during which the monarch will formally invite him to form a government after accepting Theresa May's resignation. As the face of hard Brexit in the ruling Conservative Party, Boris Johnson has pledged to get Britain out of the European Union within the deadline of 31st October, with or without a deal. But the biggest challenge is the new UK Prime Minister has only about 100 days to deliver on the promise of leading the UK out of the European Union. So what is his strategy for Brexit? Will he succeed in renegotiating the withdrawal deal with the EU? And what are the challenges he faces in doing so? These are some of the questions we'll try and answer today in depth. From an eclectic journalist to Conservative member of British Parliament to Mayor of UK's capital city of London and now the new Prime Minister, Boris Johnson has fulfilled his dream of achieving the top political job in the United Kingdom. So here's a look at his journey.
A flamboyant figure with untidy blonde hair and flowery oratory is the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Leader of the Conservative Party since 23rd July 2019, Johnson has been a journalist, Member of Parliament, Mayor of London and Foreign Secretary in the past, and each of his previous roles has been fraught with controversies. Johnson was born in New York to British parents on 19th June 1964, getting both American and British citizenship by birth. His family moved to Britain soon after his birth. After his early education in Brussels, he studied at Eton College and then in Oxford, where he was elected president of the Oxford Union in 1986. He got married to Allegra Mostyn Owen in Shropshire in September 1987 and moved to London. He began his career in journalism at the Times around 1987, but was sacked for falsifying a quotation. He then became the Brussels correspondent for the Telegraph and became the assistant editor of the Daily in 1994. In 1999, he left the Telegraph to become the editor of The Spectator.
So Johnson has been a very unusual British politician. He was largely a journalist in his younger days. He was considered not a particularly honest journalist. He used to attack people without necessarily backing up his facts. And he was never considered a prime ministerial candidate at any point. But he did eventually become the mayor of London, which was a good base for him politically. And probably if the Brexit vote had not happened, if Britain had not voted, surprising to its own political leadership, to leave the European Union, Johnson, who was the big campaigner in favor of Brexit, but did not seem to actually believe in it. He was very surprised, it seems himself, when Britain decided to leave. He would not have come up as a politician. But the accident of Brexit disqualified or discredited the existing political leadership. So Johnson, who was effectively an outsider in this system, suddenly became an insider and now, as you've noticed, a candidate has become the Prime Minister of England.
It was in 1993 that Johnson outlined his desire for a political career. He wanted to stand as a Conservative candidate to be a member of the European Parliament in 1994. However, he failed to find a constituency. In the 1997 general elections, he contested on a Conservative nomination in Clwyd South in North Wales, a Labour Party safe seat, and lost. It was only in 2001 that his political career kick-started, when he became an MP from the Conservative stronghold of Henley. He held the seat till 2008. In 2008, Johnson became the Mayor of London and remained in office till 2016. It is the longest continuous period of public office that he has held. During his tenure, Johnson claimed that he brought down crime, increased the number of affordable homes built, and made transport services better. Before his tenure as London Mayor ended, Johnson decided he wanted to return to Parliament. He won the seat of Uxbridge and South Ruislip in 2015. In 2016, Johnson became a leading figure in the successful Vote Leave campaign during the referendum on Britain's membership of the European Union. In 2016, he was appointed Foreign Secretary by then new Prime Minister Theresa May. In July 2018, 3 days after the cabinet meeting on Brexit strategy, Johnson, along with Brexit Secretary David Davis, resigned from their post. On 16 May 2019, Johnson confirmed that he would stand in the forthcoming leadership election if Theresa May quits. Boris Johnson also has a special connection with India. His now estranged wife, Marina Wheeler, is the daughter of journalist Sir Charles Wheeler and Deep Singh, who was once married to Khushwant Singh's younger brother, Daljit Singh. In an open letter to the Indian diaspora earlier this month, Boris called himself the son-in-law of India. He said, and I quote, "When I was with the Prime Minister Modi, I stressed that the UK and India are two modern democracies who should work closely together to promote trade and prosperity, improve global security, and tackle the challenges our countries face." Unquote.
Johnson has no problems with India. He has had his brother served as a journalist in India. He has visited here himself several times. And he has made it clear that he wants to have a free trade agreement with India, China, and the United States after he leaves the European Union. India has said that such an agreement with Britain must also include an immigration pact. And we have yet to see whether Johnson will agree on that, but all of that will only happen after Brexit, not before.
He also stressed on the need for a new free trade agreement with India once UK leaves EU and takes control of their trade policy. In the letter, he also said that India and Britain needed to reinvent themselves in a static market scenario. He also said that India should be the UK's most important trading partner. With inputs from Leena Sharma, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Boris Johnson has won the Conservative Party's leadership race to become the next Prime Minister of Britain amid the political uncertainty over the country's divorce deal with the European Union. But he has promised to energize the country and also get Brexit done by October 31st. For which he has 100 days to deliver on his promise of successfully leading his country out of the European Union. As the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson has 100 days to deliver on his promise of leading his country out of the European Union. Soon after winning the leadership race, Johnson pledged to renegotiate Brexit and to quit the bloc on 31st October with or without a deal to smoothen the split.
We are going to energise the country. We're going to get Brexit done on October the 31st. We're going to take advantage of all the opportunities that it will bring in a new spirit of can-do. And we are once again going to believe in ourselves and what we can achieve. And like some slumbering giant, we are going to rise and ping off the guy ropes of self-doubt and negativity with better education, better infrastructure, more police, fantastic full fibre broadband sprouting in every household.
During the leadership campaign, Johnson often described the Brexit deal struck by his predecessor as dead, defunct and needs to be junked. He now wants to scrap the withdrawal agreement negotiated by Theresa May and the European Union and also restructure the whole negotiation that was agreed at the start of the process. Johnson feels the most controversial element of May's deal is the Irish backstop. The backstop is a position of last resort. It maintains a seamless border on the island of Ireland in the event UK leaves the EU without securing an all-encompassing deal. Johnson wants to postpone any talks about the border until after the UK has left the bloc, arguing they should be part of future trade negotiations. The new British Prime Minister also suggests using the £39 billion, roughly $49 billion divorce settlement as leverage in the talks, making the payment contingent on the terms negotiated. But this will be difficult considering the EU has repeatedly said it is not prepared to renegotiate the withdrawal agreement. The European Union is keen that the backstop must be part of any withdrawal accord because it wants a guarantee that no hard border will emerge. The exit bill is also a part of the divorce deal and is due to be paid whatever trade terms are eventually negotiated. Johnson's second proposal is to leave the EU on 31st October, whether a new deal has been negotiated or not. However, the timetable is tight to negotiate an entirely new deal. And the UK Parliament is also opposed to a no-deal Brexit as it would push the UK economy into recession. Boris Johnson says he will mitigate the effects of no deal on the UK economy by relying on a piece of trade law known as Article 24. He originally said this will allow the UK and the EU to have zero tariffs, taxes on imports on trade, while the two sides negotiated a trade deal. In theory, this will help keep trade flowing and stop the EU imposing tariffs on goods being imported from the United Kingdom. But experts say Article 24 only covers the trade in goods and not services. Also, it does not cover non-tariff barriers such as regulations. Besides, the EU has also ruled out signing any Article 24 agreement immediately after a no-deal Brexit.
He took a long time deciding whether he was for or against Brexit, and now his position is clear. I think the position of the EU is also clear. The United Kingdom reached an agreement with the European Union, and the European Union will stick to that agreement. A no-deal Brexit, a hard Brexit, would be a tragedy for all sides, not just for the United Kingdom. I'm not one of those who are saying, oh God, they're going to suffer. We're all going to suffer if that happens.
Experts feel it will be an uphill task for the new Prime Minister to renegotiate the withdrawal agreement with the European Union.
He wants to get out even if there is no deal. So he says with or without deal, UK needs to get out, and that has been his big point of dispute with the incumbent Prime Minister Theresa May, who wanted a deal. And I think he challenged her. He challenged the cabinet, May's cabinet, which wanted to secure a deal and negotiations, and he was very critical of Theresa May for trying to work with the Europeans on a deal which he thought did not serve British interests. So now that he's in the chair of the Prime Minister, he will have to make his own decision as to what he wants to do. Getting out of European Union without a deal it can be quite risky, and I think he will have to weigh the costs of his decision.
So he will, what the business class wants, and companies like Tata, for example, who invested heavily in Britain, they want what is called a Brexit in which there's at least a customs union between Britain and the European Union that will cause the minimum economic disruption. However, Johnson does not wish to concede a customs union in which Britain does not control its own trade policy, which the European Union has rejected. So it seems likely he will end up with a relatively hard Brexit in which there will be very little economic agreement, and in which case you may have a very bad economic disruption of trade between Britain and the European Union.
The UK public also remained divided over Brexit, with the new Prime Minister taking office 3 years after the historic referendum vote in favour of the country leaving the European Union. Boris Johnson has just over 3 months until Brexit Day. Parliament begins its summer recess on 25th July, a day after the new Prime Minister takes charge. A week later, there will be a by-election. The Parliament will return at the start of September, but will take another recess later in the month for party conferences. On the 17th of October, there will be a summit of EU leaders, while Brexit is scheduled for 31st October, the day before the new European Commission takes office. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Time for a short break on the program. We'll be right back. back. You're watching In Depth. As Boris Johnson takes charge as the next Prime Minister of Britain, he will do well to remember what a bumpy ride it was for his predecessor, Theresa May, whose failure to deliver Brexit has left UK politics bitterly divided. Even though Brexit will be the issue that overshadowed May's time in office, she will also be remembered for being resilient in the face of strong opposition, many times from within her own party.
I think it'll be a mixture of pride at having done the job, but also a degree of disappointment because there was more that I wanted to do.
Britain's second female Prime Minister was brought down by Conservative infighting over the continent it is part of. And as she left 10 Downing Street, May's ambitions of leaving a mark on the country were overshadowed by just one word: Brexit. Her almost 3 years in office were defined entirely by Britain's decision to leave the European Union. She spent much of her time in office making efforts to deliver on the outcome of the referendum called by her predecessor, David Cameron.
There were moments when I sat here and thought, I wish we'd got Brexit over the line. I wish we'd actually managed to achieve that.
Nothing much has changed. So, Theresa May went away recognizing the challenge that she faces in convincing her own party to back her deal that she had negotiated with the European Union. And the European Union is not willing to change the terms of that deal. So nothing substantive has changed.
Even her sternest critics have marveled at her resilience to soak up blow after blow from all sides. Resignations and rebellions from her own party men and women did little to dent her spirit, as she insisted that nothing had changed and that she would deliver on the will of the British people. Her defeat in the 2017 general election, however, put her on the back foot, as she lost her Commons majority and had to rely on the support of Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party.
It is clear that only the Conservative and Unionist Party has the legitimacy and ability to provide that certainty by commanding a majority in the House of Commons. This will allow us to come together as a country and channel our energies towards a successful Brexit deal that works for everyone in this country, securing a new partnership with the EU which guarantees our long-term prosperity. That's what people voted for last June. That's what we will deliver. Now let's get to work.
The defeat was a blow to her, as it became clear that many of her MPs were only keeping her in office until she had delivered Brexit, before she was shown the way out in favour of a more voter-friendly alternative. She promised to quit before the 2022 election, when she battled to win a no-confidence vote organised by her own MPs in December 2018. By the time the end of her premiership neared, Theresa May had alienated many of her party MPs by blaming them for the deadlock over Brexit. And she was forced to finally accept that the party which had never elected her as leader did not want her to serve anymore. When she offered to resign, she did so on her own terms, telling her critics she would stand down if they voted for her EU withdrawal deal.
My primary task was to try to get the two halves of her own party. It was one group wanted a hard Brexit, one wanted a soft Brexit, and she struggled because she was not considered a person who was expected to be Prime Minister. She didn't have much support, and she was never able to reconcile the two.
Despite what it feels like now, Brexit will not be Theresa May's only political epitaph. She was an early advocate of conservative modernization as she entered the world of politics in the late 1990s. She fought to get more women selected as conservative candidates in winnable seats early on, showing early signs that she was willing to deliver unpalatable home truths. When she took over the Home Office, seen by many as a kiss of death for promising political careers, she refused to let it happen to her. She became the longest-serving occupant of the office in recent history, staying in the post for 6 years and developing a reputation as a tough operator who would always fight her corner. With inputs from Leena Sharma, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's it from us in this edition of In Depth, but we leave you with some visuals that show Boris Johnson's fun side. Thank you for your time.